To be able to get the opportunity to create a game on a much loved film series must be incredibly scary, but at the same time very exciting. We've seen this actually been done many times before, from books being made into TV series, from games being made into films. But the most infamous out of all these has to be the movie tie-in game. Video games based on movies. Throughout the history of gaming, no matter what generation of consoles you grew up with, you probably saw companies trying to do this, cash in on the success of a movie by recreating the events into a video game. Examples have ended very differently, from some being the worst ever games of all time like the E.T. game or even Catwoman, but every now and then you get a hidden gem that's just out there waiting for you to explore it. From the likes of Wolverine Origins, though it had to stick close to the story of this awful movie, somehow this game became an utter charming little gem to play. It's brutal, it's violent, and it even uses the gameplay of God of War, which at the time was a very popular series. But of course you can't talk about movie games without talking about Spider-Man 2, reinventing the actual way we explore open world in video games. And lastly, even games like the Ghostbusters video games, which for me officially acts as the third movie in the series. It's got the original cast, it's filled with charm, it's gorgeous to look at, and fans genuinely love this. Games made with love really stick out, and these are just prime examples where movie tie-in games can really change up the pace of gaming. And movie tie-in games to this day will break the expectations for better or worse. But what I want to talk about here in this case is companies that be given rights like the Terminator franchise and somehow make it their own and actually respect the lore entirely, respect the fans and their knowledge, and doesn't play dumb to what fans should or shouldn't know. And this is a fine case with Terminator Resistance. There are amazing games out there that take place in so many incredible movie universes. Avalanche Studios in 2015 released the criminally underrated Mad Max. This game didn't just capture that strange feeling of isolation and survival, but it also focused on Max as a character, letting the player control the magnum opus with some of the heaviest and yet some of the most satisfying car gameplay I've ever experienced in a game. The world in Mad Max was an incredible masterclass of storytelling, with the buildings, the old pictures, notes only hinting at the events that took place, which made this world as it is. This game respected the Mad Max universe and even had the series creator George Miller on board to give advice with the universe and how to go forward with it. And you can tell this game was made with love, from its brutal gameplay to the way that the details in the world really stand out and actually play a part in the gameplay, whether or not it's to hinder your progress or just to be there in the world as a story point. It's really interesting to go through, and this game is totally worth your time. And similarly so with Terminator Resistance. Yeah, this game may seem like a B game. This game has easily become one of the most charming experiences of this year. It does so much correct to the universe of Terminator that it is truly commendable, and it is fun to enjoy as a fan of the series. We have seen this series been disrespected both on the big screen and in video games, even though I do quite like Terminator Salvation, the video game, and Terminator Salvation, the movie, isn't that bad either, so, you know, that's my opinion. But when it comes to creating a genuinely respectable game for fans of the franchise, such as Terminator, it comes more than just putting an odd T800 popping up here and there. It's the emotions and the aesthetics of the world which is really important. Alien Isolation is considered one of the greatest horror games of all time, which is fitting for the series, meaning that the original movie is also voted one of the greatest horror films of all time. But what did Creative Assembly actually do to capture the heart of the Alien franchise and the hearts of the fans? They brought so much of the aesthetic and world to life in this game. They were able to have the abilities to look at the props and make them from scratch, have a look at the sets that were built and have them viewed from all perspectives, giving them the ability to actually make it look so genuine, make it feel right, and make it look like the player is in the movies at every moment of this game. And they perfectly captured the world by doing this. When it comes to being a fan of a franchise, not just Alien but anything you care about quite dearly, you find yourself relating to a lot of things personally on different levels. Whether or not you're talking about lighting for a certain scene, the sounds that doors make, fans love it when universes had these little touches that only you would enjoy, only you would think about and take on board. Imagine if one day you was watching Star Wars but instead of having lightsaber sounds, everyone's lightsaber just makes a cough. Fans will notice this little change, even if you think he was getting away with it. Alien Isolation perfectly inherits every aspect of the first Alien film, perfectly emulating that lo-fi aesthetics. The lighting here is replicated almost to pure perfection, using the use of heavy whites, greens and oranges that carry the smoke and the dust through the air, making the game feel like an onboard set, but at the same time making it feel alive, making it feel worked in, making it feel aged, and of course making it feel claustrophobic. The creative director Al Hope said that he wasn't able to use any tech developed by 1970s, and this gave them the limitations and the same limitations that they had on the original film. And this worked completely in this game's favour, making everything seem very alien but at the same time so retro sci-fi you can almost see it taking place. You can see these things actually being used within the universe of that first Alien movie, and I adore it because of that. Terminator Resistance has some of the best feelings with a Terminator. The T-800s shouldn't have any remorse. They should be menacing, they should be intimidating as they patrol the streets, and I find that they captured that perfectly. The beginning level in this game when you have to go through the hospital is fantastic. The sense of dread just looking at a T-800 walking down a hallway can really put you on edge the same way that Alien Isolation did with the Xeno, and I love this because your normal weapons can't do anything against them, making you practically powerless. The foreboding doom that hangs around with every single T-800 is fantastic. Yeah, eventually you get your plasma guns, but that's just to serve for the lore, and that makes sense to obviously be able to defeat your enemies. But when you first start off so powerless, the T-800s have a real mean presence that I love. But it's not the fact that it's just them lurking around that makes it creepy. The soundtrack here too is fantastic. Playing on the 80s synth with a mix of rock, it's fantastic. The pulsating sounds of that T-800 theme just comes into mind, and it really does build tension. It puts you on edge and it makes you fear these enemies all over again, just like you did in the first Terminator film. And unlike any other Terminator game, that's quite rare to see, especially in 2019. They did a fantastic job here capturing what it really meant to be scared of the T-800 and capturing that sense of fear that Kyle Reese always talks about in that first movie. And even just the sounds of other Terminators walking around searching for their next kill, it makes you play slow and it makes you think about your next move. I mean, it would if this game wasn't so easy. That's probably my biggest trifle with this game, is that it is a little bit too easy. That makes enemies, well, not as intimidating as it should be. But searching this dust-filled streets, and the LA just looks beautiful, with the moon actually appearing through the fog, making it appear that vaporwave blue. It looks gorgeous and really does capture that aesthetic of the first movie's future world. How dirty, dusty, how it just plays its respects to each and every one of those scenes. It looks gorgeous to explore, and I really do love that. To date, I don't think we've ever had a game that perfectly captures what it means to be in this apocalyptic world that has been spoken about throughout the movies and that we've seen within flashbacks and even slightly in Terminator Salvation. Very much on Alien Isolation, they limited themselves here with the technology they could use. I enjoy the fact that though this game is set in the future, it has that 80s aesthetic which Terminator really does thrive on. You see old computers, you see jukeboxes, you see old boom boxes. It's fun to walk around this world and hear the old sounds of computers loading up. It really does feel like an 80s future. It's beyond your expectations, and of course it doesn't seem like a real 2029, but because in the 80s that's not what people expected. They didn't know what the world was going to look like, so we had to run off with everything that they had in the 80s, and I really do respect that, and the fact that they play on that idea in this game is a ton of fun too. Something I really enjoy about the first Terminator movie, it knew when to begin the action, and when the action begun, oh my god was it special. It really did make an impact. The guns were loud, it was violent, it was on edge, it was breathtaking. And here the developers knew exactly how to handle this. They add action in whenever they could. The spectacle big movie moments are fantastic. You get to really enjoy the universe of big wars, you get to see explosions and over the top chase sequences with Terminators, but at the same time they knew when to focus on story and world building beautifully. Something I respect here is almost like they listened to everything Carl Reese warned Sarah Connor about. He spoke about how they had to survive underground, they had to be on edge, they were outnumbered at every moment, and this game plays on that idea. No matter where you go, you're going to be outnumbered by Terminators. No matter where you go, you're going to feel in danger. You have to be on edge at every moment and keep an eye out and keep an ear out for the sounds of danger lurking around the next corner. But along with that, they also focused on stuff that fans really would appreciate. The costume that the Terminator wears is actually Arnold Schwarzenegger's costume from the first movie. And of course, the burger joint here is exactly the same burger joint that Sarah Connor actually works in the first movie as well. It's these small details which they were clearly aware of the lore, and the small little nods that fans will pick up. Here they even mention Perry, which is a commander who Carl Reese used to work under. The fact that they even mention his name is really obscure because it really is just a throwaway line from the first movie. But here it shows they listen, they watch, they learn, and they understand everything about this first Terminator lore, and including slight little details to the second movie alongside it. And it's clear as day that this game was made with so much love and care, and it's super impressive, meaning that this game is a semi-low budget game from Reef Entertainment and Teon, who brought this game to life. Yes, I could talk about the Rambo game that they made, but I don't want to focus on the negative aspects. This is not what I'm here to talk about. They've clearly learned from their mistakes and they understand how to respect a world and lore, and I'm very excited to see what this means for them in the future moving forward, but at the same time what this means for Terminator games in the future. Will they realise that this is what fans want and they actually realise they want to focus more on the gaming side? Because maybe Terminator could lend itself more to gaming in this day and age than it could to the movie series, because clearly someone isn't doing a fucking good job over there. If you do pick this game up, I would like to know what you think in the comments down below, and I'd also like to know what is your favourite Terminator movie, what is your favourite Terminator moment, and even what is your favourite Terminator aesthetic, because by this point it's obviously gone through so many. I really do appreciate this game and I think it's definitely worth your time if you're a Terminator fan. I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, why not leave a like, a comment, and feel free to subscribe. I make videos like this hopefully every week if I can keep on top of it. Thank you so much for watching, and of course I'll see you at the next checkpoint.